Okay, folks, what we have here is the classic horse that has been ridden incorrectly. He come out of Mexico. He's an 8-year-old, and he's very, very typical of a whole bunch of horses all over the world. And where I'm headed with this horse is for him to bridle up and ride off of my skeleton. That's what I'm going to do. So what I want to do is show you the ugly, so it's blatantly clear of why I need to fix him. So I'm going to ask him to back up, and I want you to watch what his mouth does. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he is not walking backwards. All he's doing is focusing on that bit. Now, if I pull hard enough, he'll back up, but it's nothing to be proud of. So that's your first clue of why you want to fix that. So the human has a real knack for teaching a horse to gap at the mouth. They aren't born doing that. Walking forward, and if I want to stop, I'm going to walk around here, and then I'll just stop him and back him up again. And if you'll notice the way I'm riding, it's kind of a half neck rein, half leg on these horses. Now you got to know, I'm not picking on Mexico. This is just a fact that's worldwide. So now I'm going to stop. And now I'm going to walk around a circle, and I'm going to show you how a horse is ridden incorrectly. When you ride hanging on to their mouth, if you pitch them the rein and let them walk, then they ride a lot better. So that's a big thing that happens with humans. They're afraid to pitch them the rein because they're going to, whatever they think they're going to do. Now I'll back him up, and he goes right back to his head being upside down. So what it means is he hasn't connected to his feet. How could he? He's never had a chance. So I will gain absolutely nothing in transitioning this horse over in this bit today. Now, how many ever days it takes, I will in fact transition him. So now I want to show you phase 2 of this thing. Okay, folks, now I have the noseband with the bridle. If you'll notice, it's very high. I start out with it high on purpose. I also do not get on my horse and pull back like I was, because I really don't want to break my pelvis today. So this is what I do. And you got to know, this horse has never had this on. So he has to make a decision. He's trying to open his mouth and he can't. So I'm telling him, connect this to your feet. Now please notice the timeline of how quick it was, because I simply shut the mouth. His first choice before was just gap at the mouth and let the guy pull. I can take it. So now that option's gone. Now I'm going to walk ahead and stop him. Then I'm going to back him up. I took away one of his options. Now the most important part about the lesson today is not the pulling, it's the release. If you can get that through your head, you'll be able to make a really nice horse. Anybody can pull. When you feel the movement of the skeleton and can release, that's when you start to become handy at this. Now if you've got some really bothered horse, which this one isn't, understand this isn't a nerve thing or scared to death or nothing. It's a horse that simply doesn't know. I'm just showing him how he can walk backwards. He doesn't have to gap his mouth. And partner, you need to yield to pressure. Okay. Remember, this exercise I'm doing right now is a straight line forward and a straight line back. That's phase 1. If you can get this done off of your seat, you can teach a horse to do anything. Now, I'll ask and release. Now, those of you that are younger than me, you can hear the cricket maybe. See this? He's not mad, he just doesn't get it. This you're watching now is called a habit. He's used to protecting his mouth, so he automatically is going to go into it. Now, as you'll notice, I'm just walking backwards in a straight line. Where you really get into trouble is when I take this horse in this bit and go work cattle in a corral right now. I shot myself right straight in the foot if I do. I have to take the time to do a one-on-one. So one more time, I'm going to ask him to walk backwards, and he's just beginning to start to listen to my body. There. Now this is at a very slow walk. Please remember that. There. If you'll watch the range, you'll know when it's an intentional step. There. That's how this starts. So however long it takes, 1 hour, 3 hours, 6 weeks, whatever, he'll get to walk backwards off of my seat. Now, for the lateral work, that's when I put on my snaffle. Because I don't want to do this, and I damn sure ain't going to do this. I'm not going to reach down and grab a horse by the bit and make it turn its head. So, phase 2, I'll show you later once I get things the way I want it on the backup, but I'll give you a hint. When I can walk him backwards off of my seat, I'm going to pick up his left foot and set it out and back. Then I'm going to pick up his right foot and set it out and back. If you can set a horse's foot out and back, you can teach him to turn any way you want. I'm going to help him with that with my snaffle, but just bear that in mind. Because right now, if I try to turn him, and I was working cattle, what he does is he moves his rear end out, and his front end is stuck. That foot drilled a hole right in the ground. That's not how I want my horses to work cattle. I don't want them slinging their head and running their rear end around their front end. So this is all going to change. Yeah. Okay, now the noseband, if you'll notice, is high. There's a reason why I put it up there. Those of you that are around the Hackamore have seen me tell you that here's the V, and from here down is cartilage. From here up is bone. If I put that on the cartilage now and screwed it down like them 3-dayers or them dressage people, then I would crush this over time if I was pulling on him. I leave it up here where the bone is hard, and this is how tight it is. All it does is stop him when he gets to that point of gapping like you first saw him do. This is a temporary fix, gimmick, parlor trick, call it whatever you want. I don't care. It cuts my time in half, I can tell you that. I think it's pretty obvious to you. So I get rid of this as soon as I can. You don't need to put I forget what it's called, I've seen it in town. Flash buckle, roller, whatever. You don't need it. Okay, I'll change bridles. Okay, now, to be polite, I'm going to walk in a circle again and let this horse know there's something different here. Because it's 180 degrees different than what that slicer is. Now, I'm in the same place I was working, so I'll take a hold of him with 2 hands and sit down. Now, the part you need to understand is that when you pull on the reins in a slicer bit, it's a lever. The curb strap gets tight under the jaw, the bars hit the mouth, and the horse stops. Okay, now there is no curb strap. The curb strap there is just to keep the bit from going through the mouth. It has no contact on the jaw, nothing. So now it's simply pressure and release on the mouth. As you all know, my snaffle's solid mouth, so it's pressure, it's not pain. So now I can straighten out his skull and work on everything from the withers out with this bit. Position 1, the nose. Now I'm going to ask to back up by bending my elbows. Listen for the cricket. Some horses that I've ridden, when I do this, I never talk for horses, but I can tell you they say, "Are you kidding me?" Meaning that's all this is. There's no pain involved, it's just pressure. Now, never take this personal, what he's doing now. You see how quiet my hands are? Thank you. That's him. His automatic response is to fight the bit. That's what he's been taught. So all this head slinging and everything he's going to do in the next weeks or whatever it takes me to fix him up, it's all habits that are going to disappear because he's going to figure out he doesn't have to fight it. It's not painful, and I taught him release. So now I stop, keep my hands low because I don't have his nose where I want it yet. Now I can start giving, and I'm literally working with his body. Now from where I'm sitting, you got to know that from the withers out, his neck is doing this. And the next trip, it could be doing it the other way. From here that way, folks, he's got a whole lot of things he's got to get rid of. Me, all I got to do is outlast him. I don't train these horses. I just outlast them. And I'm going to offer the best, which is being consistent every time. And he's going to find out he doesn't need to do what he's doing right now. He doesn't need to do that. Doesn't need to do that. Now I'm about to increase the pressure. You need to walk backwards. Thank you. Now you notice I'm not giving. Which reminds me, we need to clarify something. Hate to interrupt myself, but I said to myself, you got to know what our world's all about for you folks that have been watching for quite a while. What I'm sitting on is one of our chapters. That's fixing older horses to get them handy. We happen to get our horses out of Mexico because they're gentle, nice, good horses. I just try to plumb them up or whatever I need to do to finish them off to go to a buyer. All right, that's one of our chapters. Now, turn the page completely, and you got Chinaco, who's an Iberian 3.5-year-old colt that we raised, and I'm headed for the California spade bit on that horse. So do not cross-reference what you're watching here with what I'm doing with Chinaco. And there was another one, I forgot it. Doesn't matter.
Was it about how you would ride this horse in a bull saw?
Thank you. You know that Chinaco I ride in the hackamore. I would never, ever, ever put a bosal on this horse. A hackamore is the whole thing, bosal meaning the noseband. All I would do is be wasting my time, and I don't need to look cool for anybody. So you're just wasting your time thinking, his mouth is hurt, he's been pulled on. He's fine. You don't need to put a hackamore or a bosal on him. All you got to do is teach him the concept of release. There you go. This is what he does. So if this bothers you, now the reason this happened in the first place is because he got tired of somebody pulling on him. He started throwing his head up. So the answer to the human was just put a tie down on him. Well, that is one answer. That's true. However, I would prefer to kind of raise the bar a little bit and get them to where they handle off my skeleton and do whatever it is I need, and there's no resentment. Now you can see already that he's going to bridle up really nice. Now I'm going to show you the front foot thing I was talking about. Now this is footfall. The right front foot comes off the ground, and as it comes off the ground, you put your left foot on and open your shoulder and set the foot out right now. So I'm making the horse walk backwards. Now the left front, I'm making the horse walk backwards and placing the foot out. Because remember earlier I said if you can get them to put their foot out and back, you got them. Well, I'm doing half of it for him mechanically because I'm walking backwards. Later on, he'll do it on his own because he'll rock to his hindquarter. When they shift their weight back, it frees them up to be able to move their front feet more accurate. That's what this whole thing's about. And I'll go ahead and clarify that. As you know now, after all this time, I want a horse to handle this way, not neck reining, not flat. I need them bridled up so that they can be on the hindquarter, so that they can be a classy ride. That's what I want. I want that kind of a ride. The practical side as a cowboy is that I need them to be able to take a hit if I'm roping, and I need them to be really handy in a corral. And if they're on the forehand, for me personally, it doesn't work. I need them to be on the hindquarter. Thank you very much.